We're going to have a look at playing some metal now. Now metal kind of developed from rock, and the earliest incarnations really started appearing in the late 60s and through the 70s, and carried on through the 80s and through to the present day. There's some really famous earlier bands such as Motorhead and Black Sabbath, and metal has since split off into all sorts of subgenres, again, such as black metal, thrash metal and nu metal. Some basic characteristics of metal are things like really high volume and high energy, heavily distorted guitars and a driving pulse, so you can really sit on top of the beat and really push the song forwards. Metal drummers often show kind of extreme feats of precision and power and like really fast playing. And they're just so accurate with it. Now this might take a bit of time for you to kind of get your head around, and if you're doing some of the metal songs that are in our syllabus, it's really worth trying to build up your stamina and your energy to be able to do those. And that just takes a bit of time playing it over and over again and building that stamina up over time, much like you would as an athlete. In this instance, we have a more progressive style of metal, much like, say, the music of Dream Theater or Porcupine Tree or Rush. Now we've been given a 9/8 time signature, which means there are 9 quavers per bar. Typically in 9/8, it's not always the case, but in this case and most commonly, they're grouped in 3 groups of 3 quavers. Okay. Now for our basic groove, I'm going to put a bass drum or a snare drum on the first of every 3 quavers. Okay, and it's going to sound a little bit like this. That's similar to a kind of 6/8 groove, but with an extra 3 quavers on the end. Okay. Now at the moment, it's all right. It's a basic groove, but it doesn't really sound very metal to me. So I want to kind of make it less weak, give it a bit more power, give it a bit more energy. So I'm going to play through the bass drum a bit more. I'm going to hit the snare drum harder. I'm going to open up my hats, give it a bit more of a sizzle. This is a really common thing in metal music. Here we go. When we're thinking about fill-ins in metal music, this is often where we see a real display of technical accuracy and speed and power. It often uses a lot of tom-toms. You see a lot of metal drummers with massive setups. There are some with small setups, granted, but a lot of them have big setups. Think about Nico McBrain with Iron Maiden. Okay, so here's an example of just one example of a fill in metal in 9/8. In the example you're about to hear, we've created some variation and development in our improvisation. We've done this various ways. So we've varied the different cymbal voices. We've gone from open hi-hats, so you can use ride cymbal. You could even use the crash as a ride. It's quite common in metal music to do that. We've added some little variations in the bass drum pattern. We don't always have to stick to that dotted crotchet feel. We can add other quavers in. And we've used fill-ins creatively and with real flair to kind of give the music a lift.